Hello there, and welcome to another episode of Cutting Through the Bullshit. I am your host, Dr. Stephanie Snyder, and I am a high performance mentor. Through my unique blend of strategy, mindset, and intuition, I help entrepreneurs to cut through the BS in order to create the life and business they desire. So, I did have a topic that I was going to just talk about, and I got a little tap on the shoulder that we're going to talk about. Don't ask the questions you don't want answers to. So, I am somebody who loves growth. I love different perspectives, and I am open-minded because I do believe that the things I do really well can help other people, but I know that other people do things really well that could help me. And I love asking questions. I have had many people reach out to me and comment and say, oh, you just ask the best questions. And how do I learn to ask questions? Well, part of learning to ask questions is not being afraid of the answers. Because if we're afraid that someone's going to answer our question in a way that we don't like, we don't want to ask that question. And so I like to live by the mantra, I guess, or the idea that I don't ask questions I don't want answers to. So for instance, right, this is going to seem silly, but the other day my son, who's 18, we have a fun relationship, really enjoyable. Well, the other day I looked in the mirror and I noticed that my chin was getting a little bit saggier than I wanted it to. And so I was trying to take a profile shot of myself and I just couldn't get the right angle. And so I walked up to my son that morning and I said, all right, be honest with me. Does it look like I'm getting a little bit of a flabby chin? And he goes, I mean, a little bit. He's like, but it's probably because you sleep with your mouth open. And I was like, wait, what? And he goes, yeah. He said, if you sleep with your mouth open, it tends to create that extra skin underneath your chin. And I said, that's not a thing. And he goes, he said it is. He's like, we should get that mouth tape. You and I should get the mouth tape and we should see if that works. And I was like, well, that's actually an interesting idea, right? But how many of us don't ask questions because we don't want the answers? Now, if you don't want the answer, that's fine. Right? To each their own. But I'm somebody who wants the answer. So I will ask those questions, right? I remember years ago when I was really diving into personal development, I had sent an email to some close friends, prompted by a book that I was reading, just asking for very honest feedback from them. And I remember one of my friends was like, listen, I'm happy to have this conversation with you, but I'm not going to send you an email. And I was like, oh, okay, right? And what's interesting was the feedback that I got wasn't really necessarily what I was expecting, right? Because it was the email was prompted, was like, okay, what are my strengths and my weaknesses? And it was just interesting, the blindsidedness that he saw versus what I had seen. And so it was just an interesting conversation. And after moving through kind of that fear of getting people's input, I was no longer afraid of it. So even over New Year's Eve, over Christmas break, having a conversation with somebody who was asking me questions that I actually didn't know the answer to. And typically I don't like being in that spot where I don't know the answer to something. But I was like, you know what? That's a great question. It's something I'll have to figure out. And it's just grown me as a person because I don't feel like I'm being attacked in the question and answer exchange. Right? And sometimes people won't do that because they do take it so personal. They take it as a real criticism if somebody questions anything about them, right? And I have just learned to kind of take it as a grain of salt because everybody has a different perspective of things, that they're going to see things that I don't necessarily see. And all it does is give me an opportunity to reflect. And one, I can be like, shoot, that's a total stranger. Who the hell do I, like, I don't care at all. Or I can be like, oh, actually, that is interesting. Maybe I want to look at that. But don't ask questions you don't want the answers to. But on the same side of that, right, don't lie in those questions. And the reason this is coming up is because I was recently asked, my kids' go to a private school, and I love their school. And last year, for the first time, they had sent out a survey to parents asking very poignant questions. And because the school is smaller, I know some of the people at the top, right? And so I said, hey, are you sure you want questions? Are you sure you want answers to these questions? And they said, yes, we need them. They said, you can answer this anonymously if you want. And I said, absolutely not. I said, I have no problem being honest with you, because here's the thing. This question is only the beginning of a conversation. I can answer your question, but really this needs to be a conversation between the parents and the administration or the teachers or whatever, right? This is just the beginning of a conversation so that we're clear on what expectations are moving forward. And it's a community of things, right? Like, I believe that the people that are teaching my children, I should be able to question them. Because this is kind of a co-thing, right? And I'm not going to go political, because I could go down that rabbit trail right now, but we're not going to. But what I'm suggesting here is, right, like, they had invited me in to answer these questions. And the head of school said to me, I hope you're going to be honest about it. And I looked at him and I said, if I lie to you, where's the growth that's going to happen? I said, I'll be honest with you. Because if I'm not honest with you, that doesn't help anybody. And I will tell you honestly how I feel right now. Like, it doesn't need to be anonymous, because I can stand by what it is that I'm saying, either in front of you or on a computer screen. But what I'm suggesting here is that there's going to be tough questions that are asked. And your answers are also going to be questioned. But that is where the growth happens, right? If you're never questioned about anything, you're going to live in your own little bubble, and you're going to think the world is this way, and you're never going to see something differently. And that's kind of sad. Because even as much as I love my life, I love seeing things differently. I love different perspectives, because it's just so interesting to me. People are so interesting, right? Like, I mean, I have this phrase, people are people-y, right? But they're also so interesting. And if you're open to asking questions and also getting your answers questioned, that's just incredible. Growth is just in favor of you. And so I challenge you to start to allow questions to be asked and allow your answers to be questioned, right? Now, I know, as a parent, there's nothing more annoying than you asking your kid to do something and they're like, why do I have to do it? And you're like, 'cause I said so, right? Like, I get that. That can be frustrating. And typically I only go down that route a couple of times where I'm like, okay, no, like, could you please just help your mother out for a minute, right? Like, there's no need to do this back and forth, why stuff, right? Just help your mother out. But I really want to challenge you to begin to ask questions, not just of other people, but of yourself, because that's where you are able to actually unearth these underlying subconscious beliefs that may be holding you back, right? So one thing that siblings like to pick on each other. It just is by nature what happens. um, whatever, right? And so what I do ask my kids is when a sibling has picked on them, right? I will say, "Is that true?" And they go, "No." And I said, "Then don't believe what somebody else is telling you if that's not true." And I bring it back to them and their beliefs, right? Like, and then if they do say, "Yes, it is true," then we have a conversation about it, right? Because it's probably something silly, like, I don't know. I don't even remember what the last one was about, right? But nevertheless, I want them to pay attention and feel okay asking me questions, as well as me questioning their answers, so that they can see what it is that's actually guiding them, because it is those subconscious beliefs that if we don't question them, they'll continue to take root. And it could be, 20 years from now that you finally realize that, oh, that was the thing that actually was planted, right? So, ask questions. There is no such thing as a stupid question. But also be okay with your answers being questioned as well. Because it's just fun, right? It doesn't always feel fun in the moment. But being able to see another perspective just gives you a deeper appreciation for the world itself. So, I'm going to sign off here. I'm sending you so much love. I hope that you have a beautiful rest of your day. And as always, be you, because the world needs more of you. Bye.